How you doing? My name's Dave, and this is another episode of my Kerbal Space Program Career Mode playthrough. Now, in the last episode, uh, I launched a space station. It was a little space station, didn't have a whole lot of stuff on it, but it has a docking port on it, so I can build something and throw it up there. I didn't include it with the episodes on the playlist or anything. It's just kind of like a bonus. Um, but I think it was episode 16. I kind of use quick save cheats to return Bob with a whole lot of science, and so I thought that was kind of cheaty. I should have just rescued him. So I did a recreation with stand-in. I forget his name, but he was a good stand-in, and we were able to pull off the rescue. And I hope you enjoyed that video, and hope I redeemed myself a little bit by doing a rescue. I tried to land a little bit closer to the crash ship, but it was kind of came down right in between where Bob's flag was and where I put the crash ship. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I enjoyed kind of doing it. So, but I got a few more points of science. I did the science because I wanted to show that I could take the science from one capsule and move it to another and then return all that science. So I'm going to call it legit. So also, when I launched the space station, I had mentioned adding the city lights aspect of the mod, the Boulder Company mod that does clouds and city lights. I haven't used the city lights because I'm just not a fan of how it looks. But I did put the city lights back in. So we need to build a ship that will take us into orbit, because today we're going to do a rendezvous. We'll take up a little bit of science equipment and take a couple guys up and swap them out with the guys that we have on the science bay, that science lab thing that we launched up there. And so it's a real tiny space station. I can either add on to it or maybe launch another one. And also, real exciting is that NASA has announced the new NASA mission. If I can remember, I'll put a link in the description. But it's their intention to send a spacecraft to an asteroid and then capture the asteroid and bring it back like closer so that they can do research and experiments and stuff like that. And they started with a tweet. I'll put a picture of the tweet in this if I know how to do that. I'm still learning how all this stuff works. So, but it was really interesting. NASA tweeted the Kerbal Space Program about it, and it started the developers of Kerbal Space Program were real excited to be working with NASA, and so I don't know if it'll be in the next update, and they never have times for their updates or anything, but they're going to have like a mission pack, and it's going to be a NASA mission pack, and they're going to have special parts just for that so that we can simulate in Kerbal Space Program the NASA mission. They're going to put asteroids up that we could fly to and grab a hold of and bring back into Kerbin orbit or into an orbit that we can get to. So that was really cool. I'm real excited about that. But yeah, if I can figure out how to put that picture in there, it might already be in there. So I'm messing around with some new editing software, and I was having some trouble with this when I reloaded the clouds. I was getting a lot of artifacts when I was rotating around the Space Center here, graphical stuff, and I'm not a computer guy. I don't know how to fix that. So I did a couple of reloads and restarts, and it doesn't seem to be doing it now. But if it starts causing trouble, I'll leave it in long enough for you guys to see it, but then I'm just going to take it out. I mean, I haven't had any issues with the clouds, and I really like how the clouds look. Although, if I ever do plan a mission to Eve, I just might take the cloud mod out because I think it adds clouds to Jewel. It adds clouds to Lathe. Yeah, I'm cycling through all these exciting moons in the Julian system. So that's a Jupiter analog, and you can see all the different moons. Some of them are so tiny and have elliptical orbits, and they're all really cool. They named this one Paul because they felt it resembled a pollen grain. So here's Elu, the furthermost planet. When Elu was put in, it was like a Christmas present because it's like snow covered. And the intention was that Elu would end up being a moon to a Saturn analog, but they decided to hold off on adding more planets for the time being. And so now it's the furthest planet out there. Oh, it's not showing the track. I was hoping it would show the orbital track. So there's the sun. You can see some sunspots there. And we might do a mission towards the sun just to get that science. Moho, which is the Mercury analog. So yeah, this is kind of a cheaty way to do this. The asteroids. With the asteroids aren't going to be. You won't be able to like see them. You have to like discover them, something like that. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that should be pretty cool. But here's Eve, and Eve, you can see a little bit of the landmass there, but it's covered with clouds. Now Eve is, unless I get some better parts or I turn into a better engineer, Eve is going to be a very difficult to do a manned mission. Now I'll probably send a probe, maybe a rover, remote rover, like Curiosity or Opportunity. But Eve has significantly denser gravity, or denser atmosphere, and stronger gravity. The gravity is more than like 1.5 of what it is on Kerbin. I think you need 11,000 delta V to ascend from Eve. So that's quite a large rocket, and it would have to survive the landing as well, which parachutes would work with this dense atmosphere. But there's some graphical issues and some clipping that happens, and you can break a lander pretty easy on Eve's moon Gilly, which has very, very little gravity. We can send a manned mission to Gilly and then back to Kerbin. And you can see the city lights that are down there. So that's kind of neat. So let's go to this. Let's go to the science and research and see. I got a little bit more science, 65. I don't think that's enough to unlock really anything. Yeah, 160 for those, but we do have quite a bit of stuff. Oh, I don't have the nuclear engine, so we might try for that. But I'm going to build a simple rocket that will get us up to our space station and allow us to do some science and transfer some crew members. We're going to want to take a larger capsule. So I'm going to build this one, and I'll bring you guys back in at the launch. Okay, so I just made a real simple orbiter. I put RCS, fuel, and thrusters on it so that I can maintain my control when I'm docking. I have a docking port on the end with a little light. I've slapped a bunch of stuff on the capsule here because we're going to try and rendezvous and dock. If you notice, I went into the subassembly and I selected the medium launcher. It's 181 parts, and hopefully it kept all this stuff in the right order as I needed it. It doesn't look like these are attached to anything. Oh yeah, these are attached to these up here. So, but then it's really cool because as long as it's not the root part, the main part, you can take everything and save it under here. So if you build a launcher, you can reuse that launcher and it'll use up all the parts. Now they're also, this next update, as far as I know, they're going to have missions. And so instead of just us making stuff up or anything, we're gonna be assigned missions that we can select and get science back. And if we do a good job with that, we can, you know, unlock more science. But it'll also be budget driven. There's gonna be a budget that is going to limit my builds. Right now, if I unlock a part, I can use as many of them as I want. So the budget is probably going to be my most difficult thing to overcome. But I'm excited for the challenge. So I went into the action groups and I just made 2 simple action groups. You can really use them up a lot. Action group stage is when you hit the spacebar to stage, you can have other things happen. Landing gear, lights, which automatically typically go into there. And you can toggle your lights with the little thing at the top of the screen, or I think it's the L button. The RCS, SAS, brakes, and abort. And then you have 10 custom action groups that you can make, and these correlate to the number keys across the top of the keyboard. I don't think they work well with a number pad. So, but 1, 2, and then 10 is 0. And so if I press 1, I'm going to toggle my solar panels that I have, the deployable solar panels that I have on the spacecraft. And then 2 will do a crew report, log pressure data, log temperature, and observe the materials bay. So I wonder if I should change that. I should remove the pressure data and make that 3, because I don't think pressure data will work out of the atmosphere because there's no pressure. So I want to do that one separate. So that's custom action group 3. And then the crew, we have Hudlock, Radan, and Ludsey. Was it Ludsey we sent in place of Bob? Oregon, well, we have an Oregon donor if this launch goes wrong. So I've changed the flag just to Kerbin. Hopefully all my staging is accurate. That's that one, and then that's that rocket. Okay, so I'm good with that, and I don't really have much of an escape plan, but I'm going to save this rocket and we're going to launch. So the rocket's a little wobbly there. Hopefully it'll hold together. Let's check our map view and see where our space station is. It's way over here. So I wonder if our Alpha orbiter can survive for a time warp. If you see this kind of fluttering yellow, that's like it does physics for each one of these parts. The game models the physics. And so this was based on a mod called Lagsbane, because the more parts you get, then the more your processor has to run and the more it becomes. to, your frame rate will drop to like 2-3 frames a minute. So what it does is it slows time down so it can accurately do that. And so if you have a really high-end computer, you can get away with a little bit more, but because KSP uses the Unity engine is optimized for a single core. So it doesn't matter how many core processors you have, it will only work through one. It offloads some of the other calculations and other aspects of the game onto other cores, but basically the physics calculations, as far as I understand, are just on the single core. So you can have a really high-end machine and it can still have difficulty with high number rockets, or high part number rockets. So we'll see if we can survive a speed up, because we can speed up quite a bit while we're here. Oh, well, yeah, I made that a pretty good geosynchronous orbit, because it is rotating as fast as the planet is, and of course it's on the far side, so it really doesn't matter about time acceleration because I'm always going to be opposite of it. So it's probably off a little bit. I never did really fine tune it, so but we'll go for a morning launch here, late morning. And we're going to rendezvous our spacecraft with our space station. So I'm going to throttle up using the shift key, press T for my SAS, and launch. So the engine noises sound loud once again. I haven't changed those settings, so I don't know why they're so loud. I might have to go back into the settings and restart the game and see if I can adjust those engine settings. So our launch is good so far. Our Kerbals are all doing well. We're going to lose our little boosters, which I could put big boosters on. I learned on I think the last mission, because the solid rocket will burn out long before these liquid rocket. So, but we're accelerating pretty good. Let's see what happens when we... Yep, our staging was staged incorrectly from the sub-assemblies. That's something I should have double-checked. There go those. So let's just keep going. Let's see. This rocket was designed to, I think, get to the moon. So we're still going, and we'll just see what happens when we get up there. So that's kind of funny. They didn't do, I don't see any damage to the rocket that they might have done. Taking off like that, they're just like big giant missiles, and we're not going to be on the ground to have to worry about them coming back, as far as I can tell. So hopefully these are, yeah, these are staged right. So I think sub-assembly does that. It keeps track of all the parts as much as it can, but I think it has difficulty remembering all the little bitty things, and so I did have to move the launch clamps and some other stuff, but we're still going up, and they're not too concerned yet. I could have put a ladder on this so that they could EVA, but I can use the rocket pack for that as well. So that was pretty funny. They must have gotten more than 2.5 kilometers away because the game stops modeling. We'll drop those two, and we're still good to go. Slowing down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make a difference. We're at about 12,000 meters, so I'm going to slightly rotate because I still want to get into my orbit. We're going to have to ascend a little bit higher, but that's what this bigger fuel tank is for. Yeah, if a part gets, if anything that doesn't have a command capsule on it, if it's considered debris, and we're going to probably look at the debris near the end of this episode, this episode, it stops modeling and that part just kind of vanishes. It just disappears. But if it's within a certain range, that's why those parts from the crashed ship that Bob had on the moon, the pieces that fell off when I rescued him were still there when I did the re-rescue, the rescue instead of just cheating my way up, because they were still within proximity of the command and the flag. A flag is considered a ship, so it stays in the persistence file. So let's go to our map view and see how we're going, and we're accelerating pretty good. So, and we're kind of on target. I can bring this down a little bit. Is that gonna help? No, that's gonna push me north. Is this what I want to do? I think this is what I want to do. I want to bring that closer to that line there to keep me on that easterly heading. There we go. And we'll rotate just a little bit, and we'll see where we're at. Apoapsis is about 40,000 meters. So, and we're still ascending, and we're already almost halfway to our orbital speed. So we're so far so good. These skipper engines are awesome. They're not quite as crazy as the mainsail. I am really excited about some new the NASA parts. NASA. I'm really excited about the NASA parts. I've been reading that there, might be some new engines or other things to go along with that. So, and I didn't do any atmospheric tests. Keep that data. Drop those tanks. No, don't hit it. Okay. Alright, I'm still good. So we save that data, and I wonder if we can do it again. Does it have to reset? Log pressure data. Cancel. How about this? Can we transmit? Oh, it just keeps it there. So, okay. So here we go. We're probably going to need to catch up to it. So we'll want to stay a little bit below it. So, but we're definitely in space. With a whole lot of fuel. This tank still has, a third of it left, and these two tanks are still full. Plus, I have a tank up here with the Poodle engine. Once we lose all this weight, then that's a real efficient way to go. So I'm gonna rotate a little more. And yeah, I'm going to have to climb quite a bit, but if I stay in an orbit that's within this orbit, then we'll be orbiting faster than our space station, so we'll be able to catch up. In fact, I think I used that launcher, that medium launcher, also to launch the space station into space. So it should be enough this should be enough to get us to our space station. So right now we're not even in an orbit. So I'm going to cut the motor. We're going to deploy our solar panels because there's no air to tear them off, and that'll ensure that we have plenty of power. And I'll go back here and time accelerate up to our apoapsis, and then turn the rocket until it points prograde. and throttle up. And let's see if we can we transmit any science data? Transmit data. Starting our transmission. There's the antenna coming up. And we got 4.2 science. So then it folds up. So now I wonder, can we log pressure data again? No, because we're too far above the atmosphere. So we can log the temperature, and we can transmit that data for 50 value. We're going to keep that data. And, well, actually, we can transmit that data as well. So we'll see the antenna fold out, and now we're in orbit. So that camera change indicated that we reached orbit. And we're barely in orbit. So let's bring it up a little bit more. There we go. And I'm going to make this somewhat of an elliptical orbit. I'm going to select our space station as the target. And space station is off a few degrees, and we're off a few degrees from that. So the easiest way to change this to match is we'll put a maneuver node there, and these are the 2 points where the orbits cross. If you look, you see that angle. This is going like this. This is going up a little bit, but that's like the pivot point. So if I do a maneuver there, then I can match the orbit. So if I'm moving this way and I'm going up, I want to bring it down because I want to make these nodes as close to 0.0 degrees as I can. So we'll down. There's 0.3, so we'll go up just a little bit right to there, and 0.0. So that's going to be a 7-second burn. And if I'm burning, what was I burning? I'm burning down, so that's going to be south. So I'm rotating the wrong way. So let's spin around, and we'll see the city lights as we go to the nighttime side. Oh, too much oomph. I'm using just the reaction wheels right now because I want to save my RCS. Although I put a lot of RCS on, I might use a lot of it for just to demonstrate, but right now we're pointing almost due south. So we're straight up and down, so the ship will kind of spin around, but it will stay oriented pointing down. So if you're going to rendezvous, if your ship is sideways, it'll spin around the planet. So if you point your docking port north or south, then it makes it a lot easier to go in. And now we can see the lights under the clouds on Kerbal. So we're still 8 minutes out, so we'll speed this up. 3, 2, 1, slow down, and you can see the lights down on the planet. So that's kind of, oh, look at that, we caught an eclipse. So we have the moon right there blocking the sun, and that's a screenshot right there. So that's a really cool picture. So just happened to look at just the right time and get a view of an eclipse of the moon, although we still have light on the rocket. So let's start our burn. go to our computer. You can see our orbit change, and there we go. Our setting nodes are at 0, so if we click on that, we can get rid of it. And we're at 1 degree. So that's pretty close. I burned a little bit extra because I expected to see those move around. I don't know why they didn't. So we can set up a node here and see what happens if we just burn there. So this is our projected orbit. If we do a 493 delta V burn right there, and we'll be separated by, that's where the space station will be, and that's where we'll be on the first intersect, and then on the second we'll be closer. So we can move this until it's really close. I'm looking at the kind of pink looking ones right here. So right there we're 12 kilometers away on our second intercept if we do a burn here. So I'm going to have to decide something real quick because I put that maneuver node pretty close. So I'm going to have to rotate over to burn prograde. And we're going to point at our maneuver node marker and go back right there. So we got that because that's a pretty good, we can tweak that a little bit. So I'm going to throttle up, full throttle, and then I can steer a little more precisely with the gimbaling engine. And you can see that where you burn, we're increasing our speed here. So we're just going to go really fast here, but then we'll come up and we'll slow down as we get up here, and then once we hit our apoapsis, we'll come back and we'll accelerate. The planet will pull us back in and we'll just whip around. So it looks like we ran out of fuel with that one. So we'll say goodbye to our debris there. And we'll start to slow down a little bit. And stop. So we'll get rid of that, and that'll show us right here. Whoop. So that changed the intersect. See, we're spinning a whole lot faster now when I'm making this adjustment. So I'm going to go to prograde. Will that stay lit? If I click on it, it won't. So I'm going to have to hover my cursor over it. Okay, and about right there, which is better than what we had. So that's 12 kilometers. So we'll time accelerate and go around the night side of the planet. You can see the clouds and the city lights. I guess the city lights are pretty cool. So I don't know what it's going to do to lag on my, and then we see a sunrise over Kerbin, and we can time accelerate quite a bit, so you can see how far away we are there. That's our first one, and then oh, we're approaching really quick here. So I could probably have gotten that even closer. I thought I was going to have to do another orbit around and come up again, but nope, we're zooming in pretty close, so we're going to change this to our target. We're going to time accelerate just a little bit until we get close. Now this shows our speed relative to the target. We slow this down and come back out here. Let's see, we're pointing away from our target. So our target is going to be, let's see, where's the planet? There's the moon. There's the planet. So maybe too far away to see him right now. Yeah, so we'll speed up a little bit more. He's gonna be near the planet. There he is. So he's about 70 kilometers away. So here's where the fun starts. Your prograde and your retrograde are also relative to the target. Now that pink marker, that is I'm pointing retro, and that's the away from the target. So if my prograde was on that icon, then I'd be moving away from the target. Right now we're moving towards the target. And I'm going to change the camera mode to chase, because with chase it'll help me with my RCS, because down here you can switch it to docking. This is what docking does, and this doesn't really do anything. As far as I know, I don't use it. I use the classic docking RCS with I think it's J, K, L, and I, and then H and N to go forward and back. So, but in the chase mode, if I turn the ship or move the ship, wherever I move the ship doesn't move, the map moves, the camera moves. So I'll turn on my RCS, and I'm going to well, let's see. We're supposed to get within 12 kilometers. So let's speed up a little bit. You can see we're flying right above it. So I'm going to slow this down. I'm going to point. I'll turn off RCS right now at retrograde, and I'm going to thrust. So now I'm slowing my speed relative to the target, but what that's doing is adjusting my orbit. That's pretty cool, huh? I learned all this stuff playing this game. So slow down relative to the target, which will put us in an orbital. Where was he? He above us, beside us, around us? He's somewhere around here. So we'll keep it pointed at retrograde until our relative speed is almost 0. So now I'm moving the same speed as the target, and you see our orbits there. So now I'm going to rotate until I'm pointing right at the target. So we're going to thrust, and I think I can control it at about 20. So we'll turn our light on, so we still have plenty of power. And now we're accelerating the target at 24 meters a second. So you can see the countdown. So I can time accelerate, and you can see it start to count down. And 3 kilometers. I can adjust this with, I'll turn RCS back on. Still kind of far away. So when we get within 1 kilometer, then I'll rotate around and slow my speed. You can see we're drifting we're going to go just above it. So I'll rotate around right now, and I'm going to point at the retrograde. Where's our target there? So now I'm pointing retrograde. So when I apply thrust, it's going to slow me down relative to the target. So before he zips by, there we are. So now we're moving 1 meter a second. There. Let's go this way. See if I can rotate the camera. Woo! Yeah, that got kind of weird, didn't it? Spin around. Okay, so there we are. Now, if I point, kind of put the target, see, I'm heading this way. I'm heading this way. The target's right there. So I'll sweep past it. But if I accelerate like that, you see the prograde kind of swings over, and you want to match those two up. So we'll spin till we're pointed, and then I can use my RCS to just put that little prograde marker. So now we're heading directly at our target. So I'm going to open the docking clamp shield. So we're ready to dock. And you were heading into the sun, but you probably be able to see the target lit up, our space station lit up with the light when we get a little bit closer. Now we might start to drift a little bit. I'm going to speed up a little bit more. There's our space station zooming up. So there we go, and you can see we drifted. So we'll use our RCS to just line us back out and slow down. Hit the brakes, because we don't want to go too fast. See, I like doing this because then I could still steer the rocket while I'm using the RCS. So our target's lit up. I'm going to switch the target using the bracket keys, and I lose my target. So where is that? There he is. So let's rotate. A little bit, and we have the two spacecraft approaching. So I just rotated to put the docking port that's on the side of the space station kind of pointing towards that. So I'm going to switch back, and I lost that as the target, but if I right click on that docking port, that sets the target, and that shows where we're at. So I can just tap fine movements. You don't need a whole lot of quick movements. You don't want to hold the key down. If you hold the key down, it'll be too much. So there's not a lot of rotation up here. So I'm going to slow down a little bit more. And take another screenshot. And so we're drifting just a touch, just little taps. And our ports are getting closer. And there we go, nice and slow. And when you get close, these will kind of magnetize, and you'll see them kind of right there. Boom! So they'll kind of bump around a little bit. I turn off my SAS and my RCS and just allow them to kind of bounce around a little bit, and boom, we are docked to our space station. Is that awesome or what? So I'll shut the lights off, and then I can turn it back on. I thought I had lights on this as well. Yeah, there it is. See, it has a docking port on the front too that we could use. So right now we're docked to our space station, and we can do some science. The lab is operational. I wonder if I have to take the science to the lab. Let's see. We'll observe the materials bay, and that gives us space high over Kerbin. That gives us 25 science. So if we process it in the lab module, that gives us plus 10% transmit value. So we'll process it, and that takes a while. I mean, those little guys are in the module there, and they're working on it, trying to, you know, process that data before we transmit. Or you can process it and bring it home. I wonder if it adds an additional like 10% of the value when you do that. So detailed analysis, so there we go. So we can transmit this data. So it'll render it inoperable, but we're going to transmit anyway. So see the antenna go up, and that data got transmitted 7.5 science. But now, let's see if I know how to do this. We can clean the experiments, and it cleans out the Science Junior here that we left on our capsule. And that takes time as well. And once that's cleaned out, we'll be able to use it again. So that's complete. And I can right click on it again and observe it again. And it would slow us down, but I can squeeze all the science out of this. See, 3%. So we're just going to keep that data because we can bring it back. So hope you enjoyed this episode. We got docked to our little space station here, and you know, come back again. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or anything, you know, let me know, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.